Yes, I do.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to this, our 27th annual concert of the Lindsay Chorale. We're delighted to have you all with us, and we extend to you our warmest possible welcome. We also want to welcome Alan Corry and Festival Brass, and I think you've just had a wee bit of what you can expect throughout the remainder of the evening. And Alan, if it's up to that, arguably the best brass band in the province. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to introduce you to a couple of people, and first we would like to introduce you to Kathy McKeagney. Kathy is our new accompanist. She's been with us for a whole 3 weeks. And this is her first night. Now, I can assure you she's absolutely no first night nerves at all. Not right, Kathy? None whatsoever. Kathy is a professional musician. She's a graduate from Queen's University in Belfast in music. And she has taken us on board, and we're delighted to have her on the team. So a warm welcome for Kathy, please, if you will. Now, the boss. Did I hear somebody say Bruce Springsteen? You're not going to get him for 15 quid. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have the boss, Bruce Springsteen's cousin on his mother's side. As far as I understand it, Keith Acheson, all the way from Enniskillen. Now, Keith is a doctor, but if you've got anything wrong with you, don't go talking to him, because his doctorate's in music, I'm afraid, so we wouldn't be able to help you. But nonetheless, Keith has been with us now. This is his second annual concert with the Lindsay Chorale. Keith is absolutely fantastic. He has brought us to new heights, completely new heights. And we are delighted that he's here with us this evening, and you're going to see the fruits of his labour. So now let the wheels hit the road, or the rubber hit the road. And I'd like to introduce you to our MC for the evening, one of our own, Brian Johnson, who has been MC for the choir for the last 29 years, Brian? And this is going to be complicated. 29 years and 27 concerts. COVID got in the way, you will understand. But Brian has MC'd 26 of the 27 concerts, or at least this is his 26th night. So please, a warm hand for Brian Johnson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John, for those warm words. It's lovely to see such a tremendous crowd tonight. And it's great to share a stage with these guys and gals. I have the privilege of being with them quite a few times in the last few months, and it's just a pleasure to be with them. And I know you're going to enjoy them thoroughly. Now, do you see anything new about us? Oh, yeah. I was trying to think if there are any stories about ties, but Paddy got a new tie for his birthday, and he took it back to the shop. He says, I'd like to change it. Your man says, well, that's what, do you not like the colour? He says, I love the colour. It's a great colour. Well, he says, what's wrong? He says, is it too wide? No, he says, it's not too wide. He says, is it too narrow? No, he says, it's not too narrow. He says, is it too long? No, he says, it's not too long. Is it too short? No, it's not too short. He says, if you like the colour and it's not too wide, it's not too narrow, it's not too long, too short, what's wrong? He says, it's too tight. Have any Ballymena people in tonight? Or are we safe enough? Oh, I love Ballymena people. I love the Ballymena accent. There's the wee man Ballymena, and he was walking along the street. There's a stranger there, and he noticed that the wee Ballymena man, he had only one of his laces tied. And he says, look, there's only one of your laces tied. He says, I know. He says, well, I says, are you not afraid of tripping? No, he says, I'm not afraid of tripping. He says, I'm just doing what it says in the box. And he says, what do you mean? He says, I got a pair of new shoes, and it says, on the end of the box, he says, Taiwan. So, no. And then anyway, you're right, the old ones are the best, that's right. Then another fellow went in for a pair of shoes, and he told him, your man, the size and all he got, and he got the colour and all. He says, he tried them. He says, no, he says they're too tight. And your man looked at him sort of and laughed. He says, try them with the tongue out. So he got down again. He said, they're still too tight. Anyway, I was noticing these beautiful windows, the engraved windows, stained glass, and remind me of a story of a visiting minister. It was at a church, and he noticed there were lovely stained glass windows, but there were some plain ones as well. And he noticed that one of them had been broken, and they'd put a hardboard up in place of it. And he was just a visiting minister, so he thought this was an opportunity to tell especially the children. And he said, he says, I'm not your own minister. He says, I'm really a substitute. And he said, do you see the window up there? Now that window, the real pane is not there. It's been broken. And he says, but the hardboard up. And he says, that's a substitute for the real pane. So I'm a substitute. Anyway, he preached for 50 minutes. And going to the church, he says, one wee man says to me, he says, I'll tell you something, mister. He says, you're no substitute. You're a real pane. Ladies and gentlemen, it's lovely to be here, lovely, warm audience, and you always are, and there's so many, to see so many loyal people back again, plus a lot of people that are maybe listening to us and the Festival Brass for the first time. So without further ado, I just ask you to please welcome the Lindsay Chorale.
Heart, my own one, my heart, my thank you all very much. I might do that a few other times later on. So thank you all very much, and it's great to be with you this evening. Of course, that was the Scottish folk song, Westering Home, arranged by Hugh S. Robertson, and composed by Hugh S. Robertson and arranged by Ken Johnson. Before I invite our guests back, we're going to sing one more piece, but I think it's time for a pop classic, isn't it? A pop classic. So this was written by Judy Gold back in 1985 and was actually originally recorded by Nancy Griffith back in 1987. It was then made even more famous by the fabulous Bette Midler a few years later. It is, of course, From a Distance.
From a distance, the world looks Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for us to be invited along tonight. Thank you very much for the Lindsay Chorale for inviting us along as our guests. It's the first time, we've been going for 30 years. This is the first time we've played in Cumber. We've done Ballygarn, Newton Ards, Calinchi, Saintfield. Now we're in the bullseye. Okay. And thank you very much for the warm applause you've given. We started tonight, obviously, the first piece didn't need any introduction. It was 76 trombones, and then this one we've just played is Le Maire. You may know it as Le Maire or Beyond the Sea, or lately the P&O Cruise advert television. We would mostly do, very much do indoor concerts. Occasionally we would do an outdoor concert, but it's usually like this, and we'll do probably 7 or 8 a year. As I say, we've been going for 30 years, so if you add that up. This year we have been invited to play to Parade on the 12th of July. So that's it, Yep. So if you would like to come along and support us, you'll need to book your tickets to Alicante, because that's where we'll be. Yeah. We have some guys from the south of Ireland play, and I phoned them and say, do you fancy parading on the 12th? And they said, oh, hey, it's in Alicante. I said, oh, yes, put us there. Okay. To put us in the mood for Spain, we're going to now play a Paso Doble Amparita Roca. Need my white stick for this one.
There was a minister was visiting some of his parishioners out in the sort of in the foothills of the Dramara, out beyond Dramara there. It was a cold, cold winter's morning, and you know there was a sleet and a wind, and he just arrived around lunchtime. He was sort of apologising as the farmer's wife opened the door and said, "Look, I've come to the wrong time. It's lunch." She says, "Come on in. Sure, we're just having a wee bowl of soup. Come on, have one with us." He says, "No." He says, "I'm not sure I should." "No," he says, "Come on ahead." So anyway, the porter got a wee bowl of soup for him, and he sat at the table, and there's a wee piglet running around the kitchen, 2 or 3 of them, but there's one that was licking all around his trousers and all like that. He says, "Look at the wee thing." He says, "You nearly think it knows me." You know, no, he says, "It doesn't know you." He says, "But it knows its own wee bowl." There was a special service in a church for a new extension to the hall, and at the end of the service, the clerk of session, he reached a notice up to the minister to announce. And he says, "I'm very proud to say," he says, "that today," he says, we have collected, or you have given us, £1,327 and 3 pence. And he started joking. He says, "There must be a Scotsman in the audience." And this wee man put his hand up. He says, "Actually," he says, "there are 3 of us." Wee Mary come home from Sunday school one day, and Mummy says, "Well, what were you doing on Sunday school day?" He says, Mummy says, "The teacher was telling us that we came from dust." She says, "Well, that's right, we come from dust." And then she said that we go back to dust. "That's right, we go back to dust." Which says, "Mummy, I was up in my bedroom looking under the bed, and there's somebody either coming or going." So the next Sunday she said, "Well, what was Sunday school today?" "Oh, the teacher was telling all about Lot, and how Lot's wife, you know, she looked round and turned into a pillar of salt." "That's right, that's a very famous Bible story. She looked round and turned into a pillar of salt." She says, "Davy," he says, "Missy," says, "one day last week my ma was out in my dad's new car, and she looked round and turned into a telegraph pole." Anyway, the Easter holidays are soon be over, and the children are all back to school on Monday, and the woman, she shouts up, "Eric, it's time to go to school." He says, "I don't want to go to school." "Come on, it's time to get up. You're going to be late. Come on." She says, "I don't want to." "Why do you not want to go?" She says, "Because the teachers don't like me, and the children make fun of me." "Come on, you have to go to school." "Why do you have to go?" She says, "Because you're 43 and you're the headmaster." Ladies and gentlemen, over to the Lindsay Chorale.
Choir forming up. I shouldn't have made that joke about falling over at the very start. Many years ago, I was taking a choir rehearsal, and I'd forgotten my little podium. So I decided I'll get 4 chairs, put them together, and conducting away, rehearsal's going great. Next thing, I turn and fall right on my back in the middle of the rehearsal. But the interesting thing is, of all pieces to be singing whenever this happened, if you know the musical Once, it's that very famous song entitled "Falling Slowly." I didn't fall slowly. Over the Rainbow. It's a piece that just doesn't get old, like myself. Anyway, our next piece is by a very talented woman, Elaine Hagenberg, who's fast becoming one of the most performed choral composers in the world. She has a growing collection of beautiful choral pieces, which are not only a delight to listen to, but also a delight to perform. This is one of her most popular from 2016, entitled quite simply, O Love, and it's after the poem by the Scottish poet, Minister George Matheson, O Love That Wilt Not Let Me Go.
Hello. Do you want to put it on the mic here? It's like Michael McIntyre's show. We're now going to feature our first soloist in the band, and who's going to bring us a delightful arrangement off the evergreen classic by Cole Porter. It's Every Time We Say Goodbye by the evergreen trombone soloist Stephen Kearns.
are brand new. The first one is only our second time performing it, while the second is our first performance. So what could go wrong? Nothing. The first piece is a beautiful setting of a Mark Twain poem, Good Night, Dear Heart, by the composer Dan Forrest. Whilst a stunningly beautiful piece, the background to its writing is truly heartbreaking. Dan is dedicated to the memory of a little Ethiopian orphan called Acheson, who his brother's family were trying to adopt and bring to the United States back in 2008. Tragically, before the paperwork had been processed, the little girl fell seriously ill and passed away. The text Dan chose to set is taken from Twain's poem, which Twain placed on the tombstone of his beloved daughter Susie when she died unexpectedly, aged 24, and left him heartbroken. Good night, dear heart. The second piece is by the great Greg Gilpin and is a suitable change of gear to bring us into the interval. With a rousing end, Greg explains why we all join choirs throughout the entire piece. It is simply entitled Why We Sing.
Good. If you'd like to get up and walk about a bit, because you might be getting a bit stiff sitting there, these are Presbyterian pews. I know what they're like. So if you would like to get up and walk about a bit, you're very welcome to do so. But we have a little surprise for you.
much. Thank you. That was the French military march, March Lorraine. It was a ceremonial. Are there any French people here tonight? No? No. You may notice that the tempo of that was somewhat quicker than a British or German march would be. One school of thought is that the Germans and the British played the march going into battle. No. I don't know what's true or not. Yeah. We're now going to feature another soloist. The word euphanous or euphony or euphonium in Latin translates into pleasing to the ear. That certainly is the case with our soloist Keith Hillier. He's going to bring us a delightful solo written by the percussionist Evelyn Glennie. It's called A Little Prayer.
For the festival brass. Tony Allen just mentioned Germany there. It reminded me of a wee story about Sammy had worked in Harlan Wolff, all his life, and he was over in Hamburg, and he was down, because he was interested in the yachts and sea and what have you, and boats, he was down around with the docks, and he didn't realise that Hamburg and actually were great shipbuilders. And he was talking to one of the locals, and he says, "You build ships here?" He says, "Do you not know?" He says, "We are the finest builders of ships in the world. Do you know we are so precise in our calculations that we work to 1/10,000th of an inch. Oh, your man says, you see, if you're in Belfast down, that'll be no good, does he? Says, down there at Harns, we have to be dead on. So, there's a couple of fellas running to a cafe for a wee cup of coffee, and one of them sat down by the window, and the other one up. I said, I'll go and order two. You know, what do you want? Latte? A latte will do all right. So the fellow was at the counter, and the fellow that was at the window, he said, oh, by the way, he says, donkey, he says, would you change that to a cappuccino? The fellow was serving, he says, did he call you donkey? He says, he did. He says, that's not a very nice name to call anybody. He said, no, it's not. He said, why does he call, I don't know. He says, but he always calls me that. We're talking about the war again. Compensation's a great word that everybody talks about nowadays. It used to be, I'm a farmer's son. It used to be the farmers were blamed for getting compensation for this and compensation for that and all the other. But the latest thing I heard compensation was given out was for people that have been prisoners of war, because they reckon, you know, their freedom had been denied them and they're entitled to compensation. If you think about it, why not? So they set up this tribunal to look into the whole question of compensation for prisoners of war. And came the day, this august body, where the first three guys were up before this body. And the chairman, he was most honest and upright and a real good citizen. He said, look, you guys, you're prisoners of war, your freedom was denied you, you're entitled to compensation. Our problem has been, it's very difficult because there are no two cases the same, and how do we go about it? So, and if you're not happy with what we've suggested here, well, we might have to go back to the drawing board. But he says it's actually going to be up to yourselves what you get, because we're going to ask each of you to mention any two parts of your body. Could be your ear, ankle, whatever. And we have a tape measure here, and whatever two parts you mention, we're going to measure from one to the other and give you £1,000 an inch. You're not convinced, no? Anyway, the Englishman, he said, when I stand up on the toes, he says, from the toe on the ground to the top of my head is 6'3". He says 12, 6, or 72, 73, 74, 75 inches. Give him 75,000. Boy, he was well pleased. We Scotsman was next. They're a wee bit more canny. Aren't they, Jesse? And he says, when I stand up on my toes and put my hand up in the air, the toe on the ground, the top of my middle finger is 9'4". No, that's an awkward one, but I worked it out before I came out the night. 12 9 is 108, and 4 is 112 inches. They gave him 112,000. Well, he was absolutely over the moon. Paddy was next. I said, what about you, Paddy? He says, never heard such a lot of nonsense. Give me whatever you want to give me. He says, no, come on, mention two parts of your body and let's get this over. He says, forget about it. He says, still absolutely silly. He says, come on, mention two parts of your body and let's get on with it. He says, from my heel to my toe. You what? My heel to my toe. That's up to yourself. He says, take off your shoe. He says, where's your toe? He says, Dunkirk.
Again, while the choir are forming up, I'll just introduce our next piece, which we're performing for only the second time. And so some of the eagle-eyed of you in the audience would have spotted the name of one of its writers, Billie Eilish. Woo! Billie Eilish. And for those of you who don't know her, both Billie and her brother Phineas, also listed in the programme, have become really the hot ticket in current pop circles. They've won an Oscar for this particular song we're going to sing in 2023. They've worked on a Bond song, No Time to Die, and have received accolades and awards the world over. The piece, What Was I Made For? Do you all know where it comes from? I heard someone whisper, Barbie. Have you all been to see Barbie? Okay, we'll not sing that one then. It's a gorgeous piece. I highly recommend go on to Spotify and listen to the original song. This is What Was I Made For? It also shows you how cool we are. Now, you didn't think you were going to get a song from Barbie tonight, did you? Our next piece, before I invite the band back, is from 1597. So just 450 years before our last piece. We cover all the generations. This is John Dowland's Come Again, Sweet Love, Doth Now Invite.
To
I was asked at the interval what the makeup of a brass band was, so if you bear with me for a few minutes, I'll give you a brief rundown on the different instrumentation. Over here we have the cornets. They would be the equivalent to the violins in the orchestra. They would take the lead. They could be playing anything up to 9 or 10 different parts going on at the one time. We'll have John over here in soprano. He's the highest instrument. He's half an octave higher than the rest of the cornets. And then with solo cornets, with ripiano cornet, whatever that means, I don't know. It's Italian, but we don't. And then with second cornets, third cornets, so they build up that end of the band. They're really a bunch of prima donnas. Yeah. You see the rest of the guys coming in with heavy cases and having to buy estate cars and vans and all sorts of stuff to get their instruments about. They rock up in their little two-seater sports cars. But it's not all easy. Sometimes they have to carry one of these as well. So we have them. And then we have the flugelhorn and the horn section. The flugelhorn is the same pitch as the cornet, but he's a bigger bore. And he marries the cornet section into the horn section, which is half an octave below this lot here. Okay, they're the swooners. They're like the Perry Comos or Bing Crosby, that sort of area. That's the melody. Well, then come the baritones and euphoniums. They're the lovers. They're so much in love with themselves. You just need to watch them. They're going, oh, this stuff. Okay. Everybody else has music on both sides of their stands. They have music on one side and the mirror on the other. And then, of course, we go over to the show-offs, the trombones. The famous conductor, Sir Thomas Beecham, once said, a conductor should never look at the trombone section because it only encourages them. Okay. And then we have the bass, the heavy bass over at the back here, the tubas. The three, with an E-flat tuba, which is half an octave below this lot, and then half an octave again below him. There's these other two, which are the really boom, the foundation. They're the foundation of the band. Then we're over to the shed builders, the percussion. Yeah. They, well, you know what they do. They're just and it's said in brass circles. It's said that if you can't play a brass instrument, you give them 2 sticks. And then they would say, if they can't manage 2 sticks, they take 1 away. So there we have it. Well, the shed builders, the beasts, the show-offs, the lovers, the swooners, the prima donnas, and the saint. We're now going to play a South African melody. It's entitled Sarri Marae. This is also used as if anybody is involved with the military, it's a march past for the Royal Marine Commandos. Sarri Marae. Thank you. We now move from South Africa up to Germany or Austria, Bavaria. We don't call it Bavaria. We have two guys here who are going to bring us a polka duet. It's on cornets. They asked if they could wear their lederhosen tonight, but thankfully for you, they didn't arrive in time. We ordered them, but they didn't arrive in time. So they're going to bring us a very technical cornet duet entitled Ein Schnaps. Thank you. Thank you. David, Corry, Nathan Thompson, thank you very much.
Very much again, folks. There was a friend of mine moved into a new house recently, and no, he didn't. People next door moved in beside him, and sort of a young couple, and she was a bit of an all right, you know. And anyway, he was going out to work the first morning, and he gave his wife the usual peck in the cheek, and then, but your man, he was saying goodbye to his wife, and they gave the arms round her, and he was, oh my goodness, you know, embracing her and hugging her, and all that. And this fellow's wife says, "Oh, why don't you do that?" He says, "I'd love to," but he said, "I hardly even know her." You know, so. During the Second World War, there were three guys, and they were captured by the Germans, and they were put into Colditz. We've heard the sort of a place Colditz was to try and escape from. We've seen the films, we've read the books, and virtually impossible. But the three boys had this great plan of escape to get out, and came the day they were going to try their plan out, and Jock, he was first to go, and he got up over the first big wall, and he got through the electronic fence, up over the second big wall, he got across the moat. He had just this wee bit of a brush fence to get across, and he was away. He was just going over the brush fence, he stepped in a wee tiny twig, and he went, but the German soldiers heard him, said, "Halt! Who was there?" Now, your man was dead quick. Like for a Scotsman, he was dead quick, yes, he was. And he says, "Meow, meow." And the German said, "Oh, puddycat, lovely wee puddycat," and your man got away. So Toffee, he was next. Toffee got up over the first big wall. He got through the electronic fence, up and over the second big wall. He got across the moat, coming up the same bit of a brush fence to say lightning never strikes twice, stepping the same wee twig. Again, the German soldiers, "Halt! Who goes there?" Now, Toffee, he had heard Jock, and he says, "Meow, meow." It's a good cat, isn't it? Meow. And he got away. Paddy was next. Wellington boots and all on him, you know. Up and over the first big wall, he slithered down through the electronic fence. Don't ask me how, but he got up over and slipped down the second wall, across the moat. He's come up the same bit of a brush fence. He clambered right in the middle of it. The Germans said, "Halt! Who goes there?" Paddy says, "It's only another cat." This is my last wee story, you'll be glad to know, and it's actually quite sad. There was a fella, and his wife wasn't too well. She was worse than that. And she was in the hospital and all. And he had to go home and make his own food. Thank goodness for Heinz. And he got the tea and the baked beans, the toast into him, and he thought to himself, "I'd better go into the hospital and see this woman." So he made inquiries as to which hospital he was in. And he got down to the far end of Ward 3, and here she was. And before he even got saying, "How are you?" she says, "How's the cat?" He says, "The cat's dead." Well, she cried and she moaned and she got on. She was in a desperate state. This was a cat that she had since it was a wee tiny kitten. That's the way they start. And it went everywhere with her. She had a wee basket in her wee mini car, sat in the wee basket when they went to the shops. There was another wee basket sitting on the table, in the kitchen table, that sat there when they were having their meals. Whenever she was watching television, it even sat on her knee. And when she went to bed at night, it lay at the end of the bed to keep her feet warm. Don't know what your mom was for. And to be told this devastating news that the cat was dead, it was too much for her. She got into a desperate state. She says, "That's terrible." She says, "And that's dreadful the way you broke the news to me about the cat." She says, "Why didn't you tell me? Why did you tell me the cat wasn't too well?" And it was on the roof, and we got it down. It's not too well. And she said, "Why didn't you break the news to me gently like that? And then the next day, whenever you come in, you could have said, you know, we got the cat down off the roof, as I told you, it wasn't too well, but it didn't pull through. Why did you break the news to me gently like that?" She says, "How's my granny?" He says, "She's on the roof."
Thank you very, very much. That was, of course, the great Wesleyan hymn, Love Divine, composed by the Vicar of Dibley's finest, Howard Goodall. So before I invite the band back to play their final numbers, can you believe we've come to our final piece of the night? Our final piece of the night. That's more like it. I said no, we'll not do it. We're going to leave you in the capable hands of the fantastic Richard Smallwood and his stunning Total Praise.
Right before he starts. Oh, never. No, you don't have to. Ladies and gentlemen, it's incumbent upon us to give some thanks to some people who have made a huge contribution to what we have done this evening. Now, we're not finished yet. We have a bit left to go. Alan is going to, and the band are going to do a little bit more. But first of all, can I say a huge thank you to the minister, to the talk of session, and to the session of Second Presbyterian Church in Comber for the use of this amazing auditorium for our concert this evening. It's been fantastic. You know, there is something that makes me feel I'm getting older. Our minister is only a wee bit more than half as old as I am. I was at school at the same time as our clerk of session, and I was in first form. I'm not saying where you were, Mary. Up a bit. Yeah. Can I thank also our advertisers for our program? We produce a program every year. It's a very good quality program, and it's paid for by sponsors who put advertising in our program. We've got hoteliers, we've got accountants, we've got physiotherapists, a jeweler, we've got an ice cream manufacturer, a landscape gardener, a paver, an estate agent, printers, and an undertaker. But then there always has to be somebody to let you down in the end. Oh, now that's the third year in a row that I've made something out of poor Norman McBriar, and I won't be able to do it anymore because I think I've probably hit him enough times. Thanks also to our compere. Brian does a fantastic job for us, and there were loads of news stories that we hadn't even heard before tonight. And we laugh at them anyway, but I mean, you obviously enjoyed Brian tonight because you did give him loads of laughs, and we thank you and we thank Brian very much for his contribution. Folks, sitting up there with a camera and earphones on, he's probably got the best out of the concert of any of us, but there's a guy called Ronnie Laird. He looks after the sound recording and the video recording every Sunday in this place, and he has recorded our show this evening, and he has been responsible for the sound production all the way through the evening. Ronnie makes an enormous contribution to what we have done here this evening, and thank you very much indeed, Ronnie. There's a guy sitting beside him that I didn't know until after lunchtime today was going to be here. I used to sing with him in another choir. Well, I'll maybe tell you where it was. I used to be in the Clare Chorale as well as this crowd, but David was in the Clare Chorale. David is a photographer, an absolutely fantastic photographer, and he has come this evening to take some still shots of us that we can use for marketing and that sort of thing. And David, we are really grateful to you for having come. And folks in the choir, don't be rushing home because we still need to get some more photographs that David's going to take this evening. There's Ronnie and Colin Taylor. Ronnie, who's up there, and Colin Taylor, they have been with me here and have done a fair bit of work without me here this week to make the church ready for us. Loads of furniture had to be moved out, loads of furniture had to be moved in. This additional staging at the front had to be repaired and made good and brought into use for us. And again, thanks to Ronnie and Colin for what they have done. Our musical director and our accompanist. Now, normally in concerts that you've been to before, a couple of members of the choir have rushed out with big bunches of flowers for the musical director and for the accompanist. Well, what we would like you both to know is that we love you too. And last of all, folks, there's you, our audience. Now, we've got people here tonight from Ballinamallard. We've got some from Enniskillen. And we've got two cousins of mine from Canada. And we would like you to give them a welcome, if you would, please. And then there's yourselves. Such a super audience. Never mind the warmth of the building. The warmth of the welcome that you have given us has been absolutely fantastic. We've really enjoyed performing for you. I'm sure, Alan, you would agree you've enjoyed performing for the audience. And we thank you for your warmth and for the appreciation that you've shown us this evening. Thank you very much indeed. Now, (2026) is the 30th anniversary of the choir becoming the Lindsay Chorale. It's a special year for us. We hope to do some big things. We haven't thought about what we're going to do yet, but we hope to do some big things, and we would really love to have your support in this. So thank you very much for this evening. Thank you for all your warmth and all your support, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You never heard Max Bygraves do it like that, did you? No. Before we play our final piece, I would like to say a very big thank you for the warmth and receptive audience we had. It was lovely. We are now going to finish. Oh, I've been asked before. It took us 30 years getting here. Wouldn't it be just lovely if we could meet again in another 30 years? We're going to finish with the classic I'll Walk with God. you enjoyed us tonight, please go home and tell your friends and look up for our future engagements on the website. If you didn't enjoy us, tell them you were listening to Cumber Silver tonight. Good?
I did, because I ignored you guys in my
Oh, we're
thanks.
used to it, don't worry.
Well, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. And my apologies to Festival Brass and to you, Alan. One or two people have asked me about Alan, and the answer to the question that you asked me is yes. You can work out what the question is later. But thank you very much. Oh, I know what it is. You know what it is too. Indeed, but no, Festival Brass have been absolutely fantastic. It actually is the case that Festival Brass are our guests tonight, and at a future date, we will be your guests. And we are really looking forward. So if you do watch Festival Brass's social media and ours, you will see when that concert is likely to be. And if you would like to see a rerun, probably not of the same stuff, but a rerun of the concert, we'd love to see you there. But Alan, thank you very much. And gentlemen in Festival Brass, thank you too. Thank you. Folks, there's a wee bit more. Probably really. Oh, I probably should have said something. There's more. Right. Folks, would you like to take your seats again?
So if you want to join us in verse 2 and verse 3.